Now we have seen what the queen is capable of and how mighty that piece is. We are about now to look at the advantages of the light pieces, the piece and the rook. First of all, they have one big advantage. If they work as a team, they can create very nice fortresses. This is through a defensive thing, but sometimes we manage to save situations, even if the queen is cooperating with one or maybe two pawns. If these pieces are working as a good team, they can save the game. This is position from the game Akopyan against Krasenkov, and even at the initial position, as you can see, these pieces are working in a nice way. The rook is taking the e-file from the king, and the bishop is taking some of the squares. More importantly, the bishop is stopping the extra pawn that white is having on the queen side, and the bishop is defended by the rook. So far everything seems fine for black, and he just needs to move his king here and there to shuffle it on d8, e8, d7 to secure the draw. But white has one very nice breakthrough, which is giving him a chance to play for a win, and this is what he does in this situation. He plays the move g4. He's breaking in on the king side, and he's trying to create a second passer there. Black has a choice how to take on g4, but in either case he is going to lose all the pawns on the queen side, on the king side, and after that white will have one more passer. Intuitively, black, if you're playing with the black pieces, you will have to try and to keep the pawn which is closer to your king, and this is what Krasenkov did, and this is the right thing. He took with the h pawn on g4, and therefore he saved the game. Taking with the f pawn would be a mistake, as after f5, g takes f5, queen takes f5, or first queen takes h5, it doesn't make a big difference. King e7, queen takes h5. True, black most likely will even keep the pawn on g3, but that pawn is not important at all. Say check, counter check, king g2, bishop c7. What is important in the situation is that these two pawns cannot be simultaneously stopped by both the black pieces. They cannot create cooperation. So one of the pawns will always move forward. And here after bishop f4, for instance, queen g7, check, rook f7, queen d4, they won't be good work by the rook and the bishop. Rook f5, pawn is moving forward, bishop e5, check, king e6, check, king f6, queen c6 check, king e7, and h6. The other pawn is making a step, and soon after black will have to start parting with the material. First he will lose the bishop, and then for the second pawn he will also lose the rook. In that case, these two pieces didn't work as a team. Moving back on move number 65, after g4, the correct decision is to take with the h pawn. And like I told you, this was played in the game. After h5, g takes h5, once again, black is losing the pawns. He didn't even care about the pawn on the g file anymore. Actually, king e7 was answered first. Check. King e8, queen takes f5, rook d6, and one more check. King to e7, queen takes g4, and the key move in black's defensive setup was the move bishop d8. That's the ideal square for the bishop for two reasons. First of all, it is defending the squares in front of both the pawns. And secondly, it is not on the alternative square on d4 wouldn't do the same job, because on d4 the bishop is not defended by this king. So here it is loose, and sooner or later black will have to ruin his defensive setup. While after bishop d8, everything that black needs to do is to move his king here and there, and the rook on the f6 and the b6 square. There is nothing that white can do to break this fortress. The game continued after bishop d8, king e2, rook b6. White tried to win this, of course he tried to win, and the computer also tries to win it, and the computer even thinks that this is completely one position for white, but the problem is that there is no way that his pawns are passing in. Even if the queen finds a way to be sacrificed for the rook and the bishop and for one of the pawns, the king would be good enough to reach the other one in time. The pawns are very close to each other. If this one was on h5, then it would be a completely different story, but we know that. So here, king c4, rook f6, king to d5, rook b6, check, king e8. The other good thing is that thanks to these moves, rook b6 and rook f6, black is not falling into Zugzwang. Queen g8 check, king d7, one more check, king e8, f5, and this is the last improvement that white is making. Bishop e7 check, bishop d8, black is once again waiting, then the rook is coming on b6, and we know this very well. We have seen it. The king can also go on c8. It's not a big deal. Queen g4, king c7, queen g6. A small trick, but black is not forced to take it. The queen is not important here. It is important to keep the fortress. Of course, if he takes on g6, the g pawn will be promoted, but he simply ignores it. King d7, queen f7 check. Once again trying something. Once again, black is not paying any attention to it. The king can also step on c7, king d5, rook f6, king c4, king c8, king b4. Unfortunately for white, he cannot break on this side of the board neither. King c4, king c8, and okay, after some more moves with the kings, the players agreed to draw. Actually, they agreed it here after rook, after king c4, king c8. Sorry, move number 96. King c4, king c8, king d4, king c7, king e5, rook b6, queen f7 check, and king c8. They agreed to draw. There is nothing that white can do. Like I told you, if this pawn is moving forward with f6, black is just going to take it, and he is close enough to stop the other one. Even if his king was on e8, this would be still a draw. The king will go to d7, then c7, and b7, and step in front of the pawn. That was a nice cooperation between the bishop and the rook from purely defensive form. A very nice fortress.